The following is a presentation of TFNN. Live at TFNN, the Power Trading Hour, with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And as we start another wonderful day, December 2nd, at the headquarters of Technical Trading and Investing, it's me, your humble, lovable, squeezably soft host, starting off yet another day. And it's going to be interesting. Not uncommon to see what we're seeing today, and what I'm talking about will unfold throughout the remainder of the show. But up 11 points in the S&P cash, and 11.3 right now. And volume, I'm going to call it 2.15 billion shares as we start the show. About 350 million shy of yesterday, I think, somewhere in there. So significant, yes. Surprising that we saw the volume and the movement yesterday. I don't think so. Most of what I think we saw yesterday was the predicate to wrapping up the end of the year. That is option market makers already going delta neutral for the expiration day of the 19th. And someone emailed me a question. I said, I was taking the December 20 options on something, and they said, well, there's nothing that expires on that day. I said, well, yeah, they do. Options expire actually the day after expiration day. So I guess you could either say December 19th expirations or December 20th expirations. Both would be correct, but I think most people that traded a few options would know, wouldn't they? That that's the ones I was talking about. Officially, they are labeled December 20th, though. That's Saturday after the expiration day. I don't play weeklies really to speak of, so I haven't spent that much time. I think they're labeled the same way, but I'll have to take a look at it. Anyway, got a market. Yesterday's movement, kind of interesting, but not that much. Of course, the big movement kind of spooked everybody yesterday was from Apple. Apple was back down to 112.75 earlier. We'll get into more about what's going on in Apple, but I thought it was interesting to see the usual suspects out. People asking about something we'll get into in a minute, which is Apple's legal problems. But, of course, these people were more adept than politicians when asked, what about the legal problem? Oh, they're selling a lot of iPads. They're selling a lot of iPhones. Yes, Mr. Guest, but I ask you, what about their legal problems? Boy, do they make huge margins. I mean, these guys talk about horrible shills that can't answer the problems, probably worse than politicians. 98%, I'd say, of most everything that's on Bloomberg TV or CNBC. I don't get Fox Business News. For some reason, they want to charge me $35 to get the package so I can get it. One of the reasons why you should get the cord, I guess. But kind of interesting. There was one bit of information out there that I thought was very interesting. We'll get to that also in a minute. But, for basically what we got going on here, which is not a whole lot, you've got the NASDAQ up 20 points. Apple, off 20 cents now at 114.89. Just not a lot happening there that would make a difference to the world. So, we'll see it. Anyway, what else do we have out here? We've got on this date in 2001, the Enron Corporation, the seventh largest corporation in the U.S. at the time, goes bankrupt, filing for protection of creditors under Chapter 11 of the Federal Bankruptcy Code. The disclosure of the worst accounting scandal in American history has vaporized $60 billion in Enron's stock market value less than 10 months earlier. Enron stock had traded for more than $80 per share. Now it's worth 26 cents per share. And there are a few of the people that are kind of getting ignored this day or around these days. Some of the famous shorters that caught this. And I mean, at the top at 110 or 120 bucks and rode it all the way down, bought massive amounts of puts on the stock. And it did blow up in, 6 months or 9 months or whatever. Didn't take that long for it to go from, 60 billion to zero. But people that are sharp with a pencil can figure out things. My dad used to say, figures don't lie, but liars can figure. I'm sure he heard it somewhere else too. But it was one of these things that just makes you know that every once in a while, all these accounting firms, not so independent as one would think. But two things that have changed. Of course, the law changed, and that meant that both the accounting firms and, of course, the CEO have to sign off on the books these days. And that's become a whole lot less of a problem. Because once you sign off on those books, you're saying that, to your best of your knowledge, there isn't anything in there that isn't GAAP, generally accounted for accounting principles. But I remember, even on a downside, I think I bought this thing at $6. It went to 9 something that same day. I sold it, and it was broke and bankrupt the next, I think within a week. May have been longer. I remember that, I kind of glad making 50% in, 3 or 4 hours. But this thing was massively short, and you couldn't actually get anything. But I remember it had to be sometime in the fall, maybe in October, maybe in November. I just remember buying this thing, watching it skyrocket unbelievably. I thought I was going to get a 50 cents or a buck out of it, and ended up going from $5 to $8 or $6 to $9. But I always remember that. Luckily, I don't do those kind of stupid things anymore. But if a company's going out of business, you probably shouldn't be buying it long. If it's just in a downtrend and you're playing it for a pop, I think I'm going to give you an example of that today. There is some money to be made. But on this day in 2001, the biggest scandal, I'm going to call it the biggest scandal in accounting, and downright fraud. But in those dark days, no one was willing to look in the mirror at all. It was all the go-go 90s, and no one wanted to be out of the party when it came to having lots of cash and showing off at New York parties, and that needed a lot of cash. Probably the biggest difference in this thing was how many people had to go along for this scandal to work. And there's probably 15 people, I think, that went to jail on this thing. And, of course, one of the original whistleblowers that got barbecued on the whole deal, the secretary. But interesting nonetheless. As I said, there's not much going on out here, and certainly not much to see on infotainment, financial infotainment TV. There is one guy that I like, and his name's Ian Bremmer. He's written a number of books on geopolitical risk and the stock market. He's an American political scientist, but he's always, especially when we're talking about so much at TFNN about gold and crude and a lot of the stuff that Andy Heck talks about. I really like this guy. Anyway, he's got a couple of videos on CNBC. If you want the links to them, just go ahead and email me at path@tfnn.com. I'll try to email them to you during the break. And if you're in the den, I will post them. Pretty much, I'll post them in there also during the break. Anyway, fairly interesting. If you are interested in how geopolitics actually affects markets, I can recommend The Fat Tail, The Power of Political Knowledge in an Uncertain World, Ian Bremmer and Preston Keat. A really good book, especially if you're going to dabble in international waters like commodities. Really like the book, really like what he has to say. One of the few guys that's fairly balanced, I suspect, in his beliefs, and he's more loyal to the dollar than a political party, as far as I can tell, at least from reading his books and from his interviews. But I will be glad to post those links here during the break in just about 3 minutes, or email you. As always, you can call me at 877-927-6648. You can post a message in the den if you want me to look at something, and you can email me at path@tfnn.com. And if you do that, I will send you those links to the Ian Bremmer discussion of world politics, especially Russia and the Mideast, and how oil affects a lot of those folks. But I don't have the time to go fly over to Arabia and check everything out. So I'm going to have to at least spend a little time reading stuff from Ian Bremmer and those folks that I do trust for a fair analysis about what's going on out there. But very interesting geopolitical view, and I'm not going to regurgitate it because he sold it so well this morning. That would be it. UPS is getting a little bit of interesting news out there. Of course, I'm big into the 3D printer world, and UPS stores have put 3D printers in their stores. Of course, pretty hard to make bogus phone calls anymore. Of course, sport when I was a kid, of course, was to call everybody and ask them if the refrigerator was running and tell them they better run down the street and grab it. Or was Sir Walter Raleigh in a can? Apparently, the thing to do now is print human naughty bits, which they have not specifically said that you can't print. They won't print gun parts or things with known copyrights. But what can you say? It is interesting. But apparently they put these things predominantly in the front of the stores, and I guess the sport now is to print human naughty bits and watch people gasp, I guess, when they come in the store. But their stores don't have anything against it. But, just a little weird out there. But I guess rite of passage for teens, probably one of the few things that you can do to get a rise out of the old man and older men. I guess the day of them yelling to get off your lawn is probably over. But I digress. Anyway, we'll be back in a minute. We've got a bunch of things to talk about. Taser and what's moving it, Apple, their legal issues, Facebook and their legal issues today, which are going on right now, I think. Anyway, we'll be back in a minute.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Check out the new look of Tiger TV. Now you can see a host, charts, and computer screens crystal clear in high definition. Whether it's Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, David White, Larry Pesavento, Andy Hecht, Think or Swim, or Terrell Martin, you can catch all of our technicians hosting their programs live and archived on Tiger TV. Now, crystal clear in high definition, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you haven't seen the new look of Tiger TV, then visit TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You've always taken the long view when it comes to investing, but what if there's an opportunity right under your nose? What if you could be more responsive to market trends to seek to boost your portfolio performance right now while seeking to reduce your overall risk? At Direction Funds, we connect investors with alternative strategies that seek to maximize their returns. Smart investors deserve smart alternatives. Find yours at directionfunds.com. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risk charges, and expenses of Direction Funds carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Funds. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact the Direction Funds at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. Investing in index funds may be more volatile than investing in broadly diversified funds. Distributed by Rafferty Capital Markets, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free, for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And we had a question from the den from Mike. And the question is, do you know much about INVN, which is InvenSense, and what's the problem with it? And yes, I know about it, and I kind of know the problem with it. But it's more of a general problem than a specific one. But if in a word you wanted to talk about it, it would be Intel. This company makes gyro sensors and systems on a chip and a lot of other stuff. And kind of the higher end of the market, Intel has gone directly after that. They also, of course, have down to 14-micron technology to build stuff for it, and Intel has gone hog wild after getting to the incredibly low end of the market for both tablets and PCs. And because of that, and because that, I think I saw it last night, that we thought Google Glass, those glasses that the funny glasses everybody made fun of, were a dead product. Well, apparently the iteration as it is a dead product. But Intel signed a deal with Google to make some very high specialty chips that do a lot of the kind of stuff that these other vendors have done for Apple, that kind of stuff, but do it at a much better rate. Of course, 14 nanometer technology means that you're probably going to be using about 30% less technology than 18 nanometer, and 22 nanometer is going to be 50% less power. These things are all in watches and iWatches and all this kind of stuff is all about using a tiny amount of power. And if you have to go to Taiwan Semiconductor to build your stuff, you're probably stuck at 22 or maybe, if you're lucky, 18 nanometer to get to their capability. Apple, after trying to go toe-to-toe with Intel for a while, just signed a big agreement with them, 9 months ago or a year ago, to build their chips and at their facilities using the latest state-of-the-art stuff. Taiwan Semiconductor is about 18 months behind, maybe 24 months behind Intel. And as long as Intel continues to move forward, it's tough to see how all these companies are going to compete against Intel. Probably 18 months ago in the Tech Insider, I showed Intel's roadmap for all these products and getting into it. We talked about it last summer. Not this summer, but even the summer before last, when Intel started to move about what they were going to do. But it was well-reasoned, well thought out, and most of these companies do not have the ability to control their own manufacturing. And at that point, that is the biggest problem with these companies. Not that they don't make decent products, but if you can't make stuff to the highest level now, you're not going to get that highest in business. And in case of Intel, they are more than happy to go out there and blow the market out on the downside. We're probably going to see margins slip on Intel for a little bit on this reason. Now, in Vincent's, it doesn't look all that bad out here. I don't see that they're going out of business or anything else. But certainly, you know, if this thing got back up to 18, 19 bucks, that would probably be the extent of a trade off of a low at 13.50 if it does come down and test that. So hopefully that answers your question. But to me, the big problem is Intel just continuing to put more and more and more in a system on a chip that includes things like GPS sensors and gyroscopes and all the other stuff that these smaller vendors have been doing. Intel has made into their own family of chips. Those chips can be made at much smaller sizes using a great deal less power, and Intel is more than willing to sop up all that business. So hopefully, Mike, that answered your question for Innovisense. See if we have any new emails here. As always, you can give me a call at 877-927, I think, right? 877-927-6648. That's enough dialing that I can stand. Anyway, when we come back, we're going to talk about Taser, Apple, and Facebook. Taser kind of interesting to me. 17% short interest on Taser. And, of course, news out here following a lot of these stocks. But this is a stock that is a personality. And right after 9/11, it was a big runner. And again, it is on the backs of the Ferguson, Missouri stuff. But these tend to have a personality of being a huge shooting star, only to come back to earth. And in this case, back in 2001, would it lose 90% of its value? I think we can see maybe history repeating itself, maybe. We'll be back in a minute.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN, and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you, like it does me, call 1-855-750-4051 to find out what they can do for you. That's 1-855-750-4051. Call them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And as always, you can give me a call at 877-927-6648. And I appreciate your phone calls. Other things of interest out here, and that is, of course, we went through Taser. I wanted to talk about Apple. Apple is in court yet again today. It is all about whether or not it is using monopoly-like tendencies, and this goes back to selling its music on iTunes. Probably the most damning thing in this particular court case is going to be Steve Jobs' own words. When you get into this whole monopoly business, not the kind board game that you play with dice, but actual real monopolies, the Justice Department has kind of stood back fairly far, but Apple has had basically 3 cases that it's pretty much lost down this vein. So it's not beyond the scope of reason that maybe the Justice Department will continue to look at some of these cases and start to build a pattern of behavior for Apple. They've lost on the e-book pricing scandal. They also lost on collusion to cut the price and salaries of its engineers, software and hardware engineers. This is the third part where they actually colluded to make sure that no one else, and that the devices like the iPod and iPhones could not play music from someone else, trying to make the case that MP3s are somehow virus carriers, which, to my knowledge, an MP3 has never had a virus of itself. So they'll have to make a case that going to a website and downloading it would be problematic, or sideloading it from your computer would be problematic. But for all those years, there weren't any viruses. So the question is, if they could prove that there was one somewhere, might help their case. But today, I think about 3 months before Steve Jobs died, they knew that he was sick, and the government decided to basically have a deposition, videotape deposition. You're going to see that today. But tomorrow, my understanding, is when the rubber meets the road, and that's going to be a bunch of emails that are horrifically bad for Apple's position that they weren't trying to use their market clout to make sure that no one else could sell something into their ecosystem. You can make those barriers, but at one point, especially at that point, where they did a lot of the stuff and the emails were coming out, they had 75% of all downloadable music. And there's more than a few people in the music industry that dislike Apple because of basically they destroyed the music industry as it was. Maybe it needed to be destroyed. Maybe the Apple will make that case. My belief, though, is that they came in and just blew it up basically for their own benefit. But probably what ruined the music industry was being able to buy a la carte single records or single songs off an album, so no one ever spent any time to sit back and enjoy and let artists mature. But with rare exceptions now, 70s big bands like the Eagles, or 60s big bands like Rolling Stones, and a handful of people like Taylor Swift can actually fill a auditorium these days. Everybody else is playing in 500-seaters, and that's if they're well known. So, it's not bad. I go over to Ruth Eckerd Hall many times to watch a lot of bands. To tell you the truth, though, in the last year, they just keep turning up the volume, and it just becomes more horrible every time I go there. If they would just turn down the volume a little bit, my hearing's still very good, but they just to turn it up. I actually left halfway through Blues Traveler because excellent band and an excellent sound, but just imagine getting into a car and turning the volume up all the way. I'm not exactly sure who thought that that is the only way to listen to a concert. I remember going to that same place and seeing Kenny Loggins and thinking that I was sitting in the same room with him when he recorded those songs, because that place sounds beautifully and beautiful when you're just sitting in there at about half a volume that everybody else plays stuff at now. But I digress. But Apple, of course, in that is going to be problematic. The other people in court today are Facebook in front of the Supreme Court, or as SCOTUS as it is. This thing's just kind of basing around $75. You're going to want to really watch it. This thing came up to that gap down on what was that? On the 29th of October. That came down on 106 million shares. And, of course, came back up on light volume to fill it, 32 million shares. And the little doji from last Friday was 31 million shares. But the belief that this can't be a fad, I think, is starting to set in on Facebook share owners. Is this thing going to zero? The answer is no. Are more people going to Snapchat and Tumblr and Instagram and a lot of other things? Are they spending the same amount of time on Facebook with mobile? And probably kind of like Google, the answer is the same. If you go to mobile, you can't look at 3 pages of results. They're probably going to whittle those down to about 3. Those are going to be sponsored. And the question is, can you make more money with 3 advertisers than you can with a page of 20 adverts on the first page? And the answer is no, or at least Google shows that it's no. I'm going to guess that the same is true with Facebook. But Facebook, does it have a lot of downside? The answer is probably no. My guess is after the first year, you could see it go down and test the $70.32. But the inevitability of these stocks reminds me so much of 1999. Also reminds me politically of the 2008 election, where everybody just continued, at least politically, to say that Hillary Clinton was going to be the candidate. And, of course, we know that that wasn't true. But this whole idea of inevitability for politics probably applies to technology also. Everybody was saying how Microsoft was going to be out of business this year. No one's going to buy a PC. All I see is people flocked all over Best Buy looking at PCs and tablets and buying a big iPhone 6. But a little bit of discussion starting at least today when I was reading, and that is companies like Apple. What is their next swan song? Will an iWatch be enough business for them to really move it along? And my answer is I don't think so. I think we're seeing peak smartphone, kind of like peak oil. Peak smartphone probably coming along out here like peak oil. Going to be hard, I think, in the next iterations for Apple to get the same kind of upgrade cycle. Once someone has got an i6 phone plus, it's going to be hard to keep them down on the farm any longer. Is Google a buy? Let's take a quick look at Google. I haven't looked at it lately. Probably look at it with an L, right? Which Google are we looking at? Is Google a buy? Well, you got 2 gaps underneath it. It's going to those gaps now. You know, I have a feeling that Google's going the way of the market, and that's probably after the first of the year headed down. So I would say that you would want on Google to see a test of the 508 from October 20th and more likely the 502.80 and see whether it can hold those. It's still one of the best earners out here, but in a down market, which I don't think is going to happen until after the first of the year, I think you could still see problems in Google out here. I think you could buy it a lot cheaper. Let me put it this way. When can we expect Windows 10? Let's go to Microsoft here. MSFT. Of course, Microsoft will be killing support for Windows Vista. I think it's January 25th, January 30th, somewhere late in January. So you're going to have anybody with those Vista machines that should have been upgraded a long time ago to Windows 8, probably upgrading those machines. It's at least to the operating system, and if not, the an entire new machine as they become cheaper and touch screen interfaces and that stuff. In fact, you could have bought a nice PC at Staples for $100 on Black Friday. I don't know if you noticed that. I think it's still available for $150 today. It's very much like the one I have, except it doesn't have a touchscreen. Touchscreen models at $250, so it's not that exciting. Now, of course, these aren't super high resolutions and the ones that I particularly want, but the one I've had now for almost a year seems to do the job. I'm waiting for the prices to drop on the latest version Surfaces, and or to get the newer version or the later version of the mobile chip from Intel in it. But on Microsoft, looking for Windows 10 sometime around, my guess is April or May for it to roll out. Does Apple do the same thing where they kind of roll off their support for older operating systems? Yes, they actually force new operating system downloads sometimes. But for the most part, yeah, they charge for them, yes. Do they do the same thing? Kind of. The biggest problem with Apple, of course, is a lot of those old machines were running Motorola processors, and they went to Intel. Of course, when Motorola went over, so there was no easy way. You had to change the hardware anyway for a number of years. Now, basically, they're not even pushing or even trying a lot in the desktop arena. As far as I can tell, when's the last time you saw an ad for an iMac? You just don't see them. And where's the iMac with a touch interface? I mean, you can go out and buy an all-in-one Microsoft Windows 8 machine today for $400 with a touch screen, not super high resolution, but $700 for one with a 1920 by 1080 and 1380 by 800 or whatever it is, 768, which is what I think my laptop is, for $400 for all-in-one desktops. So, having these kind of interesting and pin interfaces, I think Microsoft's pretty well on the road to making sure that tablets are a thing of the past. And that is that Surface design, what they call the convertible, has been a huge success. That is, being able to pop it off and use it as a tablet and plug a keyboard in it, use it when you need to as a small laptop or netbook. But I like my T100 from Asus. I think you can buy it for $250 right now with a year of Word, Excel, and basically the full Office on it. But pretty nice, and I think you could have bought those. I think I saw those for $199 on Black Friday. So fairly expensive, inexpensive technology compared to that. And Apple still does well with their iPhones and the iPhone 6, but certainly not seeing a lot of movement either in the tablet business for Apple and or the PC business for Apple. And the belief that desktops are gone, I think, is like Mark Twain. Rumors of my death are greatly exaggerated. Anyway, I've been happy with my Asus T1000, and one of the guys in the den says he is too. Again, you can give me a call at 877-927-6648. Let's take a look at some others. Oh, we talked about Apple. We talked about Facebook. We talked about Facebook. We didn't talk about the problems. They're in front of the Supreme Court today, and we brought it up, I think, last week or the week before, and that is that the question is, what is the legality of what you say on Facebook if it is a threat against somebody? And the court case basically is a kind of a moot point. The guy's already been in jail for almost 4 years on Facebook, but it is against going up against the Supreme Court as to whether or not you're just venting or if a threat is a threat. In this case, it wasn't just somebody said, hey, I'm going to slit your throat or I hate you. This guy had several orders of protection from against him, and it's going to be interesting to see what and how everybody rules on this. But probably a big change in the way these social media things are going to go will come out of this court case. We'll be back in a minute.
You know what's cool? taking something that's good for you, something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
We're told to follow our passion and everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy, a set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders, take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days, unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And we're going to go right to a caller, and that is Pat in the Villages. Where's the Villages, Pat?
It's just south of Ocala and north of Orlando.
Oh, okay.
We're the famous golf course community.
Do you have your own?
And everybody rides around in golf carts.
You don't have your own airstrip, but you're close to John Travolta.
Yeah, well, we have a Hawk Air private fly-in community if you want to be just down the road and have your own plane.
Oh, that'd be nice. So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, did you read that article about the Freedom of Information Act and how it's causing problems for the taser police cameras?
I've seen that kind of on and off. I haven't looked at it lately. I don't think that's anything new, but I've read about it in the past, maybe even 6 months ago. But why don't you inform me a little bit more, and maybe I'll remember a little bit more about it.
Okay. I think it's going to be a huge problem because this one guy out in the West Coast called the Requester asked for copies of a lot of police videos, and they had to spend time and money blurring out the faces of all of the different people on the video before they could get him copies. And he was actually taking the what he considered questionable videos and putting them on YouTube, where the police officer would go up and make a mistake and handcuff somebody and then have to apologize and unhandcuff them and whatnot. But they said that it was going to be a huge expense to provide and satisfy this freedom of information request.
There's probably something to that, but my guess is that after a while they'll give up. There's also a codicil in that law, because I've run into it before, that you can charge people for doing that. So those people would have to physically pay for it. And maybe
that's true.
And maybe those, because I've had to pay, I was trying to go up against in a legal issue to prove a case on a unscrupulous individual, and the fire department would not give me the information, even under a Freedom of Information Act. And then they finally coughed up, well, we'll give it to you if you pay $5 a sheet. Then we had a talk with the judge, and he enjoined them and said, no, 50 cents is plenty. So there are times when they try to use those fees so you can't get stuff. But my guess is you could probably put a price on if it takes an hour to blur everybody's face out or whatever. But as long as those charges are reasonable, they're probably going to mean that people aren't going to do that for very long. But if the area or the county or the city that is doing that, I'm pretty sure, since I've run into this multiple times, that they just start charging enough money that only people go after the egregious cases after a while. Because I think the original, when a law came into effect, they didn't have a part in there that said something about that, and that was added later, about reasonable costs for duplication and all the other processes that go into that.
They should do that, and then, of course, they have to have a reasonable amount of time to produce it. But
2 weeks.
I mean, there could be some problems, if the groups keep doing this, and then they start causing problems by putting questionable videos up on YouTube and broadcasting it out there.
Like I said, normally these things kind of find their own level, but my guess is that they go broke before very long. As long as they charge expenses, then I'm sure that the county or state or city will start charging them for it. Eventually, they will probably not do it except on egregious cases. Thanks for the phone call, Pat, and we will see you tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time. So when you can, not when you have to.